Those of you who practice ceremonial magic will know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that there's an issue that comes baked into ceremonial magic, and that is portability. One of the first things that you do as a ceremonial magician is to build an altar, and then you build all the magical tools. I've made several videos about those. And this video is about one of the issues that I encountered as I went away on a very short break, just 4 days, with my son to the south of Poland, and I found myself in a flat with only one room and a bathroom, and I didn't want to be performing ceremonial magic rituals with my son in the room, whether he was sleeping or not. It wasn't something that I wanted to be doing. And so I had to come up with a solution. And I want to share the solution that I came up with you today. And it's specifically to do with planetary magic. And I know that I've talked a lot about planetary magic in the past. And you've probably got an idea of what I ended up doing just thanks to the thumbnail that I put up there. But before I go into the details of exactly what I did, I do want to share some thoughts about what I think of this kind of portable magic. And I think portable magic is really great, and I think that there's a place for it and a time for it, but I think that it's important to recognize that it should not be replacing a regular practice. The relationships that we have with spirits are real relationships, and they shouldn't be confused for the kinds of relationships that you might have with, say, a shop assistant, where you say hello, quick transaction and goodbye kind of thing. The magic comes from a good relationship with the spirits that you're working with. And if you're phoning in your relationship, if you're kind of half-heartedly doing it, then that's not really going to elicit a positive, strong emotional response from the spirit. They're going to be likely to want to meet you halfway, but if you're not going your half of the way, then from their perspective, why bother, right? On the other hand, just like with any other relationship, if you're able to meet up, if you're able to make an effort and maybe go out for meals and actually spend some quality time, then the times when you're away and you just send a quick text message to say hi, then that's going to be something to reinforce the relationship, not something on which you're expecting to build the relationship, okay? If all you ever do is send a quick message like twice a year, then that's really not going to cut it. So this little shortcut that I want to share with you today, this little portable version of a ritual, I don't want you to imagine that it can be a replacement for putting in the actual work. And a lot of what we do in ceremonial magic is combine the material world with the spiritual world. The things that we do in the material world are actions, the theatrics, the regalia, the materials, the tools, etc., etc., all those things that are associated with ceremonial magic. Those are what we do on the material realm while we're doing other things in the spiritual realm. So what I'm going to share with you right now is like a little thing that you can do in the material realm when doing the big things in the material realm just isn't practical. So this is what I came up with. And a little disclaimer first of all, I'm not any kind of mudra specialist. Some people out there watching might be mudra specialists, and I'd be delighted to find out from you in the comments maybe how you use mudras in your daily practice. I also know that Tyson wrote a book on finger magic or hand magic. Although I haven't read the book myself, I'm told that it's very good. This is just something that I came up with out of necessity, and I did a little bit of research to find out if there was an established tradition of applying planets to the parts of the hand, and sure enough, there was, but none of them agreed. So I decided that I could probably do something with my hands, something along the lines of what I did with the LBRP, that I changed the way I do the LBRP so that it makes more sense to me. Why couldn't I come up with my own system, right? A system that would be consistent for me, a system that would make sense in my internal representation and that I would be able to build upon going forward. That's what I did with the LBRP. Why couldn't I do the same thing with my hands? And so this is what I came up with. And I think that most of you, if asked which of the fingers would be attributed most readily to Mercury, might come up with the same finger as I did. I think that Gian Bologna was probably onto something when he represented his sculpture of Mercury with the index finger in the air, the finger for pointing, the finger that you use for writing in the sand, the finger that you use for directing people to go from one place to another, the finger to start counting, 1, 2, 3. All of this, of course, is the realm of Mercury, the realm of the intellect, the realm of moving things from one place to another. So the index finger for Mercury makes sense. Then I thought to myself, what finger could I use for Mars? And I thought to myself, okay, the thumb is kind of virile, symbol of strength, but it's also not really the sign that you make when you go to war against someone, is it? This is like an approval sign, isn't it? I think that you probably know which finger gets put up in a confrontational situation, in a situation of war. Of course, the middle finger is extremely phallic, isn't it? It's a pure representation of Mars. It's the aggressive finger, the finger of confrontation, and of course it makes sense for that to be the finger of Mars. So if that longest finger is the finger representing Mars, what would be the finger representing Venus? And I thought to myself, well, it would make sense for the next finger along to be Venus. It's the ring finger, and what else? Well, nothing really. It didn't really make that much sense, in fact, for this to be the finger of Venus. What this finger does represent, however, is slowness. I mean, if you put your finger on a table like this, you can raise all your other fingers without any problem, but this one, you can really, there's just no movement in it. And Saturn is the planet that's really associated with slowness of movement, isn't it? And of course, the ring that is placed on the finger, right, the marriage ring, which I don't have because my fingers are way too podgy 19 years after I got married. That ring is a symbol to say, I'm not available. It is a boundary symbol. It is a symbol that belongs far more to Saturn, this planet of self-control, the planet of promises, the planet of discipline, far more than it does to the promiscuous Venus. So if the ring finger isn't Venus, what is? Well, you can see what I'm touching right here is my little finger. I thought to myself, well, that might be seen as insulting, but actually, what are the sayings that are associated with the little finger? When we say, I've got more power in my little finger than you have in your entire body, right? When you say, she's got him wrapped around her little finger, or vice versa, of course. The little finger is a symbol of tremendous power in unassuming form, and it's also a symbol of elegance, and all of these belong to the realm of Venus, the venereal realm. It's very interesting to me also that the majority of the strength that's in a person's grip actually comes from this area of the hand, right? This muscle right here, which is the small finger, the little finger. That is where the majority of the grip's power actually comes from. And naturally also when you're trying to be very delicate, you want to brush something off as delicately and as kindly as you possibly can. You'll use your little finger rather than your fat thumb, right? Now, where does the fat thumb belong? Well, the fat thumb, that fatherly gesture of positive approval, that represents Jupiter. It's the symbol of life rather than death. It's the symbol of yes. It's the symbol of more. It's the symbol of all of the things that Jupiter represents. So that's 5 of the 7 classical planets covered with the 5 fingers. Where do the sun and the moon belong? And I thought to myself, maybe I could have the sun in one place and then the moon in the opposite place, but which one? And it didn't make sense. So I thought to myself, do you know what? This actually makes sense as the sun. The palm of the hand with the rays coming out does in fact look very solar. And the position of Tipperette, for example, in the Tree of Life, surrounded by all the other planets, makes very good sense to me as the palm of the hand. It is the palm of the hand that takes action. It's the palm of the hand that reaches out. It represents consciousness as opposed to the back of the hand, which is unconscious. You don't grab anything with the back of the hand. The back of the hand oversees the action that is happening with the inside of the hand, right? All of that is covered by the back of the hand. And so the moon makes very good sense as the back of the hand, the opposite side of the coin, complementary and opposite. So now that you've got the 7 planets attributed to the different parts of the hand, I thought to myself, we get this opportunity in a ceremonial context to combine the planets on one hand with the planets of the other. And so I decided that the planets that were on my dominant hand would be the active principles to be applied to the passive principles on my non-dominant hand. Let me give you a scenario. Let's imagine, because this would definitely never happen to me, that my mind is racing at 200 miles an hour and I just don't have my ADHD under control and it's just wanting to do everything at the same time, and as a consequence I'm just getting exhausted doing nothing at all. Well, the planet that's mostly responsible for the mind is Mercury. Mercury is an aerial planet, and the air represents the intellect. All of the things that happen in our frontal cortex tend to be mercurial in quality. All the counting, all the reading, all the calculating, all the decisions, and so on and so forth. So yes, Mercury is what needs to be calmed down in this situation. So I would take my non-dominant hand and say, this is the principle that I want changed or that I want acting upon. And then I take my dominant hand and I take the planet that makes most sense for tempering what's going on with Mercury over here. And that would be, well, I think that Saturn would make very good sense in this situation. I need some boundaries, I need some self-discipline, I need some slowing down, and all of those things belong to Saturn. So if I take the Saturn finger from my dominant hand and apply it to the Mercury of my non-dominant hand, then that is a symbol in the manifest world that represents the outcome that I'm after. Now, what's going on inside, of course, is an invocation to those two planetary energies to ask them to have an effect upon each other, right? But you'll see that I can do this very easily in a shopping mall or on the bus without having to stand up and do a full LBRP and then a ritual of the heptagram, which is, yes, much faster than the ritual of the hexagram. And, you know, it's all steps towards simplification. And this really is very simple indeed. And so the way that I was using it while I was on holiday, you know that I have a daily ritual practice for the level 3 members of YouTube and of Patreon. I do a daily planetary ritual and I ask those planets to bless the people who have asked to be blessed for those particular days. And since I was in this tiny flat with my son and I didn't want to be doing a full heptagram ritual, whether he was awake or not, I would bring the two fingers from the same planet from both hands together, and I would speak internally to the powers, spirits, and intelligences of that particular planet. And this is all that I would need to do, but it's not just two fingers touching. The active powers and the passive powers coming together. It's just a little symbol on the outside world so that the outside world is not left out. Now, those of you who've been watching my series on the inner palace will know that I could have just very easily have gone into my inner palace to the ritual room and just done the rituals there entirely in so-called in the astral, right? But I do believe that an essential part of ceremonial magic is the ceremony, and I think that such a big part of the philosophy is about bringing together that material realm and the spiritual realm so that the two are doing this dance together. That if it's possible for someone to do something in the material realm that represents what's going on inside, then it would be a shame to deprive yourself of that because it's such a powerful combination. I think it's the point of being human, is to be a link between the spiritual and the material realm, both of which we have access to. So there we go, a little hand magic shortcut for you guys. I hope that it comes in handy at some point in your life. I'm very curious to know, would you actually attribute the same planets to the same fingers, or did any of that jar, or was it a little bit strange and you would do it differently? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, I'd also be really interested to know any other kind of shortcuts that you, or shorthand, no pun intended actually, that you might use in your own practice. And if you'd like to support the channel by sending the price of a coffee in my direction every so often, then there's a Patreon, and all the members of the Patreon and also of the YouTube memberships get access to the Foolish Fish Discord, where they get to chat amongst themselves, of course, but also where there are 300 different categories, different topics, where people ask and answer each other's burning questions on magic. If you'd like me to include you in my daily devotional planetary rituals, then the level 3 members get a survey at the beginning of every month, and they say what planets they want to be blessed by. When I call the planet during the day, I take out my phone and I check what names have come up for that particular day, and I say those names out loud so you get a blessing from that planet. Now, usually, not when I'm on holiday, but usually those blessings are boosted now by Sphere and Sundry's planetary talismanic materia, which I involve in the rituals, which I'm really excited about, and it works really, really well. I can feel the energy just so much more potent. So that's all the level 3 and up members, the names that you can see scrolling up on the left over here. And also, I want to say a special thanks to the level Infinity members, David Venturini, Aritz Murueta Ramos, Caitlin Kopok, Danny Barr, Amon, Linda Hendricks, Stephen Hunter, Susanna Redelfs, and the Eldritch Keeper. Thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you to all the members, in fact. And thank you to everyone who has watched this video to the end. And yeah, I hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you very soon with another video. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.